What's up, everyone? Okay, today I got some udon from Mugizo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's actually in San Francisco's Japantown. So if you wanna get some udon, check out that place. And then also, I don't know, I had some leftover basil pork belly, and that's some Thai tea right, and then tempura as well. So yeah, let's get into it. Mhm. Okay, so this past weekend, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Of course, this past Sunday was Mother's Day. I hope everyone spent time with their mothers and appreciate them. So let's move on to today's topic. So I watched episode 7 and 8 of Brand New Animal, and I'll get around sometime to watching the last 4 episodes. So in episode 5 of Brand New Animal, you can think of this as like a filler episode, pretty much. So in this episode, Michiru was watching a baseball game, and particularly of the team called the Bears, and she caught the eye of one of the coaches. I believe maybe a foul ball was hit, and then she used her power to stretch her arm and catch the foul ball. And immediately, the coach said, "You know what? Can you come in and play for the game mid game?" And she was immediately put as pitcher. And obviously, she overwhelmed her opponents. Throwing fastballs that you can't even see with your bare eye. And immediately, she took this team called the Bears from last place up to one of the best teams in the league. But unbeknownst to her, as well as the whole team, the coach actually was gambling on his own team on losing. So that's particularly why the team was so bad. And eventually, you know, he made some bets with some bookies or stuff like that, but they kept on winning. He didn't really want to tell the team to, throw all the games. And eventually they actually made it to the finals. And he initially didn't put Michiru as pitcher, intentionally want to lose. And of course they were getting, badly beaten. And the other team was, just cheating outright with no regret. Like, it's obviously that they were cheating. And, eventually the coach took the money, and the crowd kind of booed him as well, the gambling money that is. And he has a flashback on his life as a baseball player as well, and when he loved the game of baseball, and he deeply regrets the decision that he made on gambling. And eventually he tells the Bears try to win this game, and unfortunately the Bears end up losing. It was too little too late. They made a comeback. It was pretty neck and neck. But yeah, they lost. But the coach was very greatly inspired by Michiru, and she reignited his love for the game of baseball. And he's gonna move toward the right direction of stopping his gambling and coaching the team for real. Okay, so we're moving on. That was episode 5. So let's go on to episode 6. So in this episode, um, Michiru reunites with her old friend Nazuna Hiwatoshi, and she's really surprised that her old friend from high school is also a beastman as well, and that she's actually joined the Silver Wolf cult as the new leader, to represent herself as the legendary figure wolf beastman known as Ginro. So Michiru, obviously, just like herself, she immediately wants to cure Nazuna and take her to Mayor Barbares to, talk things over a little bit. But Nazuna is, being a little strong-headed, and, doesn't want to turn back, actually. She actually likes the feeling of being idolized by others, and she believes that some beastmen need a figure that they can look up toward to. Okay, let's get some more tea here. Now, I think I mentioned this before. My favorite top three noodle soup dishes. Definitely ramen's number one for me. I think pho's number two. Udon, oh, it might be number three. But in Japan, miss visiting there. I probably mentioned this before. But you can either like grab, you know, ramen or udon for breakfast. But ramen in the morning is like the best. It's like a nice quick meal to start your day, right? Okay, so moving on to episode 7. So in this episode, Michiru comes across by this beastman albatross named Pinga. So immediately, Pinga he has traveled a long way, and it was during a storm. And one night, he crashes into Michiru's room, and of course, he's really tired. He's knocked out, and Michiru, lets him stay overnight. And immediately, Pinga is obviously very grateful for people that have taken care of him, and he offers Michiru, "Do you want to fly in the sky?" And of course, who doesn't want to fly? So she takes up on his offer, and then they kind of you know develop a little relationship there. And then Pinga tells Michiru that his kind, it's within his DNA that birds migrate from place to place constantly during certain times of the year, and that his own kind have been shot down due to these human regulatory laws. And then Barbara and Shiro actually meet a man named Alan Silvasta, who's the head of Silvasta Pharmaceuticals, advising them not to let this new silver cult take refuge in Anima City. And eventually, Shiro suspects Pinga as a terrorist, and as a result, Shiro and Michiru track him down. And then later this episode, we discover that Michiru actually has the ability to fly as well. So they're tracking down Pinga, and eventually they catch up to him and realize that it was just a bluff. He wasn't actually going to do anything. And Pinga reveals that he was part of the military, and he carries all his brethren's necklaces of the names with him as well. And he reveals that there's another suspicious individual in Anima City that may be after someone else. And they soon discover that this terrorist is also, I think, Albatross Beastman as well. Or Falcon, I'm not sure, quite sure. It's some other flying Beastman. And that person is after Alan Sylvester. And eventually, uh, he was spot on, and Nazuna actually saves Alan from this terrorist attack. Okay, so moving on to episode 8. So if you remember when Shiro stopped those two doctors, the Yaba, it was one of the rhinos who was one of the doctors at the medical center. And eventually, for some reason, he goes berserk. And Cliff Boris, who's a silver wolf priest in the cult, visits Yaba very recently before he goes berserk. So, he did something. He obviously did something to Yaba. So Yaba goes out of control. He breaks out of jail, and all hell breaks loose in Anima City, and all the civilians are in danger. So obviously Shiro and Michiru track him down and are fighting him, but they're having a very hard time containing him. So eventually, Michiru and Shiro, they fly to an empty warehouse uh, outside of the city, so not many civilians will be put in danger, where there's like pretty much no one there. And Shiro and Michiru are put in a corner, and Shiro, he's getting beat up left and right, and eventually Yaba uses his horns and stabs Shiro right through the chest. But at this point in time, I'm not even sure how even Shiro was still alive. But I'm gonna this right now. It's gonna be a major spoiler. So unfortunately, you remember I think Shiro has like something around his neck. I guess that's somehow some contains his power. So he takes it off and he says he has no choice as Michiru is about to be squashed by Yaba with his bare hands. So he unleashes the collar, uh, signifying releasing his real power. And it's revealed that Shiro is actually the real legendary wolf beast kin Ginro. So as a result, you know, she Michiru is the only one who's seen this, and the mayor Barbara is the only other individual that knows of Shiro's real identity. So obviously, the next day, Ginro's exhausted. He's still resting, and Mayor Barbara and Michiru have a one-on-one talk with each other. And Mayor Barbara says, "What are you gonna do now, knowing that you know Shiro's real identity?" Now, obviously, Michiru says that she's not gonna say a word, but she does want to tell one individual, and that individual happens to be Nazuna, her best friend, who's imitating to be the legendary Ginro. And of course, Shiro comes out and gives her approval, said, just go do what you must do. And Mayor Barbara was in slight confusion, saying, "Are you sure about this?" He said, "We can't stop this young girl, Michiru, from doing anything. Of course, she's going to do it anyway." So Michiru obviously goes back to Nazuna, telling her that maybe let's start this farce of you trying to be this idol as Ginro, because actually there is a real Ginro out there. I didn't even believe it, but I saw with my own eyes, and I have actually met this real legendary individual. Oh yes, so I forgot to mention one very important fact. So Mayor Barbara actually tells Michiru about how Shiro became the legendary Ginro. So I believe it's like 1,000 years, or it's been a long time. And Ginro used to live in this city called Nervasul. I'm not quite sure, but it was like an ancient city where tons of beastmen lived as well. Pretty much it's like Anima City, what it is today. So she said that at this time humans and beastmen used to get along. They traded goods and were on peaceful terms, right? Until one day, of course, you know how the narrative goes, that the humans appeared at Anima City and killed off all the beastmen. And eventually, everyone was killed in the city, but somehow the blood of all these beastmen converted into one individual's power, who happened to be Shiro, and he became this legendary wolf being. And as a result, he used his power and tried to hunt down the individual who destroyed the city. I believe it was some general of some sort, but he was unable to track this individual. And during this conquest of hatred, he kind of feared himself of getting too drunk on his power and hurting other individuals as well. But here we fast forward a little bit, and Mayor Barbara recalls the first time that she met Ginra, or AKA Shiro. So it was like, I believe, World War II, and humans, being beings that are can are experimenting on beastmen, doing unforgivable acts of cruelty. Shiro comes to save these beastmen trapped in jails where humans are experimenting on them. And of course, and this is where Mayor Barbary and Shira's relationship began. So yeah, there's a lot. Episode 8, just a lot more action, and definitely we obviously we know about the true identity of Shira as well as the legendary Ginro. And I can't. We'll see how the story progresses from here. But yeah, I think probably within a couple of days or maybe tonight, I might just binge watch the rest of these episodes. Whew, okay, yeah, that was it. Yeah, I'm pretty full. Actually, I thought maybe I'll be able to finish this today, but it's quite a lot of food. But thank you, anyways. Thank you for watching. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and hope everyone had a good Mother's Day as well. And it's new Monday, new week has begun. But yeah, all right. Thank you for watching. Peace.